I did a review video on this MaxXT random orbital sander almost a year ago. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it up here and down in the description. In that video, I said how impressed I was with the quality of the sander, even though I didn't really use it a whole lot. This is an extremely well-built sander that works way better than I could have expected. My initial impression was that it worked very well, was a little bit quieter, and seemed to have much better dust collection than my previous random orbital sanders. I also said in that video that I would revisit the review in several months after I had a chance to use it, which is why I'm doing this video. I've been using it exclusively over the past 10 months on various small projects, but I really had a chance to put it through its paces yesterday when I sanded this end grain cutting board that took about an hour of constant use. So now I feel pretty well qualified to give you an updated review and tell you what I really think. Now, in case you have a short attention span like me and don't want to watch the whole video, I'll give you the short version now. Do I like this sander? Yes. Is it better than my previous sanders? Also yes. Do I love it? No. So now let me tell you the things that I like about it, the things that I don't like about it, and the things that I'm kind of neutral about. I'll start with the thing that I'm kind of neutral about, and that's this paddle switch. My previous random orbital sanders, which are a Hercules and a Rigid, both have toggle switches, but this has a variable speed paddle switch. It works okay, but the location of it right on the top, which is the same as the more expensive brands like Mirka, it really is not ideal for me. I find that my finger gets kind of fatigued as I'm holding it down and using it like this. If I'm using it like this, it's much less of an issue, but I really don't use it a whole lot like that. And now we'll move on to the features that I really like, starting with this almost comically long power cord. It extends for another 6 feet towards the wall. I don't know why anyone would need a power cord that long on a sander like this when it has a dust hose that's much shorter, so that's really going to be constraining, not the power cord. The next feature that I like, I mentioned before, and that it's pretty quiet, significantly quieter than my other sanders. I measured the volume of this sander compared to my other ones in the previous video, and it is a couple of decibels quieter. That doesn't seem like a whole lot, but remember that decibels is a logarithmic scale. Another feature that I like is that it comes with both 5 and 6-inch backing pads, which means that you can sand significantly faster than just a regular 5-inch sander. And speaking of comparisons to regular 5-inch sanders, the feature that I like most about this is the 5mm stroke. Compared to your typical random orbital sanders like these, the ones that I previously had, the 5mm stroke means this works significantly faster, which cuts down on sanding time. And anything I can do to reduce the amount of sanding that I have to do is a plus for me. And the last feature that I really like about the sander is that the dust collection is actually pretty outstanding. It's not perfect. It does leave a very light sheen of sawdust behind, but it picks up the overwhelming majority. And I don't even have it hooked up to a dust extractor. I just have it hooked up to a regular shop vac. I did have to design and 3D print an adapter for the shop vac, but that didn't take too long and was really inexpensive. All right, so those are the features that I do like. So now let's get down to why I don't love this sander. Now, keep in mind, I do like it. I just don't love it. And here's why. The first reason why I don't love this sander is the very rigid dust collection hose. I mentioned this in the previous video also, but this is not very flexible at all. And when you compare it to the Festal, which granted is a whole lot more expensive, this just isn't very user-friendly. The next thing that makes me not love this machine is the heat buildup on the backer pad. This buildup was so bad you can kind of tell that the hook and loop here just got melted while I was doing a project. I wasn't even putting a whole lot of pressure on it, I was just using it normally. So what I've had to do instead is buy these accessory backer pads that are foam and replaceable. It still works okay, and the company told me that they weren't going to replace this under warranty because the hook and loop should still function, and about 90% of it is still fine, so it does still work, but that's a problem. This excessive heat buildup was actually mentioned by several different reviewers when I was reading reviews online, so I'm not terribly surprised that I experienced the same problem. And I'll also say that since I've been using these accessory backer pads, I haven't had a problem with heat buildup. And finally, the big question, what about vibration? This was one of my biggest complaints about my previous random orbital sanders, and when I first used this, I thought it had essentially none. Well, unfortunately, that was premature. As I said, I've been using it a lot over the past 10 months, and I used it for about an hour straight yesterday, and there was definitely significant vibration. I will say that it was not nearly as much as my Hercules or Rigid, but it was definitely still there, and I noticed some tingling in my hand for a good 5 or 10 minutes after I was done using it. Now, that's one thing that I've heard are so great about the Mirka 3M and Festool sanders that are in this style, is that they have no vibration. Unfortunately, this one doesn't quite live up to that. I also realize it's not as expensive as those other sanders, but I was really hoping that it would at least be close. So the bottom line on this MaxXT sander, do I like it? Yes. Do I love it? No. Would I recommend it? Well, that depends. If you're just a hobbyist woodworker like I am, this is probably going to work great for you. But if you're more of a professional or you're doing a lot of end grain cutting boards, this is probably going to have too much vibration, and you're probably going to want to get a more expensive one like the Festool or the Mirka. For me, this is a good tool. It's not perfect, but it's definitely good enough. It's a huge step up over my previous sanders, but it's probably not as good as a Festool. It's also about half the price. So I don't regret buying this at all. Like I said, it's a much better sander than I had previously. It works better, it's much faster, it is quieter, and it does have less vibration. So all those things put together, this I'm going to keep. And I don't think it would have been worth it for me to spend several $100s more to get a more expensive brand. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you know all the things that you can do to support a small channel like mine. Another thing that you can do to support my channel is to buy one of my DeWalt 735 digital readouts. If you want one, the link will be down in the description, and a link to the video will be right up there. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you next time.